At my wife's funeral, I got a message, "I'm still alive, trust no one." I know that sounds like the start of some Hollywood thriller. But this happened to me. Uncle Ray, a regular man who thought he buried the love of his life. One moment I was standing over a casket, listening to the pastor read the final words. And the next, my phone buzzed with a message that ripped the ground right out from under me. Her name, her number, her voice. "I'm still alive, trust no one." And trust me, from that moment forward, nothing in my life was normal ever again. This story is full of shadows behind smiles, secrets buried deeper than graves, and a truth so twisted it changed everything I thought I knew. Stick around, because once you hear what happened next, you'll never look at a funeral the same way again. Yeah, and somewhere in the middle of this madness, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps keep these wild Uncle Ray stories coming. All right, let's begin. I always thought the hardest day of my life would be the day I lost my wife. But nothing prepared me for the moment I stood beside her coffin, surrounded by people whispering condolences, while my phone vibrated in my pocket with a message that shattered every truth I believed in. "Ray, I'm still alive. Trust no one." It was her number, her typing style, her phrasing, her nickname for me hidden in the message metadata only she used. And in that single breath, my grief turned into something darker. Fear, confusion, rage, and a sharp stabbing sense that the world had suddenly turned sideways. But let me start at the moment everything began to feel wrong. I was standing under a gray sky that looked like wet concrete. The funeral home had arranged everything perfectly. Too perfectly. My wife, Martha, would have never chosen lilies. She hated their smell. But lilies were everywhere. White, suffocating. Expensive lilies that felt foreign to the life we built together. People said they symbolized purity. I thought they smelled like secrets. The crowd was full of faces I barely recognized. Colleagues she never talked about. Neighbors who'd never visited. Even two men in suits standing near the back, watching the ceremony with empty expressions, not saying a word. I remember gripping the edge of her coffin, so tight my knuckles turned ghost white. Her wedding ring sat on her folded hands. Hands that still felt warm in my memory, but lifeless here before me. The pastor droned on about her kindness, her devotion, her loyalty. Every word felt like a lie. Because for the last 3 months, my wife had been acting strange. Late-night phone calls, unexpected errands, quiet conversations that stopped the moment I walked into the room. I thought it was stress. I thought she was planning some surprise. I thought maybe our marriage needed a spark. I didn't think it would end with this. A closed casket, a rushed autopsy, a vague explanation of medical complications. Documents I wasn't allowed to see without proper clearance. What clearance? From whom? From my own wife? None of it made sense. And then the message came. My phone buzzed against my leg, and I almost ignored it. Who checks their phone while saying goodbye to the love of their life? But some instinct, forced me to look. When I saw her name on my screen, I swear my heart stopped. Martha. My thumb shook as I opened the message. "Ray, I'm still alive. Trust no one, not even the one standing closest to you." I felt the blood drain from my face. The world around me blurred. The murmurs, the sobs, the shuffle of shoes on gravel, all of it faded into a dull ringing in my ears. I lifted my head, scanning the crowd. Who sent it? Why now? Was someone watching me read it? The two men in suits stared right at me, their expressions unreadable. My brother-in-law, Frank, who had been unusually calm since her death, seemed suddenly nervous, glancing between me and the coffin. Even the pastor paused, just for a second, as if sensing a shift. I couldn't breathe. I forced myself to take slow breaths, clutching the phone in my fist, hiding the screen from anyone who might be looking. My hand was shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. My first instinct was to step away, to escape the crowd, to get somewhere quiet. But if the message was real, if she truly was alive, then leaving abruptly might tip someone off. So I swallowed the panic burning my throat. I stayed still, silent, observing. Something was wrong with her coffin, too. I noticed it then, small metal locks along the sides. I'd never seen a coffin with locks before. Why would a dead woman need locks? I leaned in closer, pretending to adjust the flowers. My fingertips brushed the latch. Cold, industrial, not decorative, and the padlock wasn't standard funeral hardware. I knew, because I'd worked with equipment like that in my years as a contractor. This wasn't a coffin meant to honor someone. It was meant to secure something. Or someone. I stepped back slowly. My heartbeat thundered louder than the pastor's voice. People were watching me, whispering. I couldn't shake the feeling that every pair of eyes held a secret I didn't understand. Then I looked at my mother-in-law, normally dramatic and emotional. Yet she wasn't crying. She wasn't even sad. She looked relieved, like a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. It hit me then. Everyone here knew something I didn't. Everyone except me. The message kept replaying in my mind like a broken record. I'm still alive. Trust no one. The funeral continued, but I wasn't listening. I needed answers. My mind spiraled through every conversation, every argument, every odd moment in the last few months. 3 weeks ago, she told me not to trust her coworkers. 2 weeks ago, she said if anything ever happened to her, I should check her blue notebook. 1 week ago, she disappeared for an entire night and refused to explain where she had been. The last time I saw her alive, she held my face in her hands and said, "Ray, whatever happens, remember I love you. And remember, not everything is as it seems." At the time, I thought she was just being sentimental. Now, I wasn't so sure. The pastor finally announced the last prayer, and people lined up to give their final farewell. When it was my turn, I hesitated, staring at the sealed coffin. "Martha," I whispered under my breath, "if you're alive, where are you? What's happening? Why send this now?" My fingers brushed the coffin one last time. Cold, unnatural, wrong. My phone buzzed again. This time my stomach dropped. Unknown number. Put the phone away. Someone is watching you. My head snapped up. The men in suits were still at the back of the crowd. One of them spoke quietly into his wrist. My skin crawled. Another message came in instantly. Unknown number. Walk away slowly. Don't look at anyone. Do exactly as I say. I swallowed hard. Who is this? I typed, thumbs trembling. The reply came instantly. It's me, your wife. My vision swirled. A cold sweat broke across my forehead. Another message. This one like a knife twisting in my chest. They lied to you about everything. I stepped away from the coffin, acting like I needed air. I didn't run. I didn't panic. I simply walked in slow, measured steps toward the side gate of the cemetery, following the invisible leash of fear dragging me forward. My heart hammered against my ribs, so loudly I thought people could hear it. As I moved toward the exit, another message arrived. Go to my car. The black sedan on the far left. The keys are inside. Drive away. Now. Her car? Her black sedan had been missing for days. Police said they couldn't find it. I scanned the parking row. There was dark, tinted, quiet. Waiting. I took one step toward it. Then another. But just as I reached the door handle, a hand grabbed my shoulder, tight, urgent, stopping me cold. I turned. It was my wife's closest friend, Linda. Her eyes were wide, terrified, darting between me and the sedan. "Ray," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't get in that car." My throat tightened. "What do you know?" I asked, barely able to speak. She swallowed hard. More footsteps approached behind her. The men in suits. Linda's grip tightened. "Your wife trusted me," she said. "If you want to stay alive, walk away from the car. Now!" Then she leaned closer and whispered something that sent a bolt of ice through my spine. "Ray, the person messaging you is a Martha." And that's when chaos erupted. The men in suits began rushing toward us. Linda pulled me backward. People at the funeral turned to stare. My phone buzzed with another message. "Get in the car now or you're dead." I froze in the middle of the storm, torn between two impossible choices. Follow the message from the number that looked exactly like my wife's, or trust Linda, whose voice shook with fear I'd never seen before. Behind me, footsteps pounded closer. Ahead, the car door clicked open by itself, someone inside unlocking it for me. Two voices battled in my mind. Don't trust anyone. Don't get in that car. One promising truth. One promising life. Both wrapped in lies. And then someone shouted my name. "Ray, run." The moment that shout tore through the cemetery, everything inside me snapped. My instincts, my fear, my suspicion, my desperate hope, they all collided into one raw reaction. I ran, not toward the black sedan, not toward Linda, not toward the men in suits. I ran blindly, like a man trying to outrun a nightmare that kept changing shape. My shoes slipped on the wet grass as I lunged toward the back entrance of the cemetery. I didn't know where it led, didn't know if anyone was waiting there, didn't know if I was running towards safety or straight into another trap. I just knew one thing. If I stayed, I was done. Behind me, I heard the chaos explode. Shouts, frantic scrambling, the thud of footsteps chasing after me. I didn't dare look over my shoulder. I didn't dare slow down. Every nerve in my body was on fire. My phone buzzed again and again in my pocket. I ignored it. I couldn't trust anything or anyone right now. Not numbers that looked like my wife's. Not warnings from people who claimed to know her secrets. Not even my own instincts, which were torn in two different directions. I burst through the back gate, nearly ripping the rusty handle off. The hinges groaned as I shoved myself through and stumbled down a narrow trail between rows of old, overgrown graves. I ducked behind a large tombstone and pressed my back to the cold marble, gasping for breath. My heart was hammering so violently I thought it might burst. My mind raced. Who was lying to me? Who was helping me? Who was trying to kill me? And the question that tore through me hardest, was my wife really alive? Or was someone using her identity to pull me into something beyond anything I understood? I pulled out my phone with trembling hands. Several new messages waited for me. From her number. "You should have gotten in the car. You're making a mistake. They're coming after you. Ray, please. It's me. Trust me." Each message hit like a punch. Each was crafted exactly in her voice. Same rhythm, same wording, same punctuation quirks. Whoever was behind this knew her intimately. Then another message. "If you run again, you won't survive. Get back to the car." My throat tightened. Part of me needed to believe it was her. But the other half, the part that listened to Linda's terrified whisper, screamed that something was deadly wrong. Another message came, but this one wasn't from her number. Unknown. "Ray, stop moving. I can see you." My blood froze solid. I looked up slowly, terrified of what I might see. Every shadow between the gravestones suddenly looked like a person. Every flicker of movement felt like a threat. Another message. Turn around. I didn't. I shoved the phone into my pocket, crouched low, and sprinted deeper into the cemetery, weaving between old stone crosses and abandoned family plots. My lungs burned. The cold air cut into my chest like knives. I reached the far stone wall and pressed my hands against it. It was too tall to climb, but there was a maintenance ladder leaning against a nearby shed. I scrambled to it, grabbed the metal rungs, and hoisted myself up to peer over the wall. Behind me, footsteps. Fast. Someone shouted something I couldn't make out. I swallowed hard, swung my leg over top of the wall, and dropped down the other side. My ankles screamed as I hit the ground hard, rolling in dirt and dead leaves. I forced myself up and kept moving. The cemetery backed onto a wooded area. Thick trees, low branches, dead silence except for my ragged breathing. I ran until my legs felt like they were melting, until the sounds of pursuit faded behind me. Only then did I stop and collapse against a tree trunk, my chest heaving. For a long moment, I didn't move. I didn't think. I let the quiet swallow me whole. Then my phone buzzed again. I almost threw it, but I looked. Linda. Ray, if you're alive, please answer. Please. I'm trying to help you. I stared at her message, torn between gratitude and fear. Was she trustworthy? Or another piece in this twisted game? Before I could decide, her next message arrived. Your wife wasn't who you think she was. I stared at those words until they blurred. A chill ran through me so deep I could feel in my bones. Another message. And the people at the funeral weren't there to mourn her. They were there to find you. My pulse spiked. Linda, please, tell me where you are. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I typed a question. What do you know? She replied instantly. Everything she hid from you. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Her number this time. Ray, don't listen to her. She's lying. She's dangerous. She's the one responsible for everything. She got me killed. I squeezed my eyes shut, torn apart from the inside. Linda said the sender wasn't my wife. The sender claimed Linda got my wife killed. Both sides begged me not to trust the other. Both sides claimed they had the truth. My breathing quickened again. I felt like the woods were closing in on me. I typed to the number claiming to be my wife. If it's really you, prove it. The reply came after a long pause. Only 2 words. Blue notebook. Every muscle in my body tensed. My wife had mentioned that notebook only once, weeks before she died, and she'd whispered it like she was sharing a forbidden secret. If anything ever happens to me, open my blue notebook, but don't let anyone see you do it. No one else knew about that notebook. Nobody. My hands shook so violently I could barely hold the phone. But then another message arrived. From Linda. She's using the notebook to fool you. She knew you trusted that clue. She planned for this. She planned everything. I felt like the ground was tilting under me. Plan what? Her own death? Her disappearance? This insane chase? I stood up, brushing dirt off my clothes, turning in slow circles, trying to decide what to do. The woods were silent, but the silence felt wrong. Like I wasn't alone. I needed a plan. I needed clarity. I needed answers. So I made a decision. I typed to the number claiming to be my wife. Where's the blue notebook? Her reply was instant. In our bedroom, under the floorboard. You know which one. I did. The loose board beneath the nightstand. The one she always accidentally kicked when cleaning. The one she once joked could hide treasure. A secret hiding spot. A real one. Something only she and I knew. My heart began to pound for a different reason. Maybe my wife really was alive. Maybe she really was in danger. Maybe she needed my help. But then, Linda sent another message. Ray, don't go home. Please. They'll be waiting for you. A chill ripped through me. She sent another. Listen to me. If she's texting you, she's not your wife. Your wife can't message you. She's gone. My breath caught. What do you mean gone? I typed, gone how? Every second waiting for her reply felt like a blade twisting deeper. Finally, her message appeared. Because she didn't die the way they told you. She didn't die at all. She was taken. Taken. The word hit me like a punch to the throat. I typed back so fast my fingers hurt. By who? No answer. Linda, by who? Still nothing. Then the notification sound changed. My phone flickered, glitched. A new message appeared, but it wasn't from Linda, wasn't from my wife's number. This one came from an unknown sender. A single photo, grainy, dark. My wife, alive, but restrained, terrified, her eyes swollen, lips cracked, fear etched into every part of her face. And below the photo, a message, come alone. My vision tunneled. I nearly dropped the phone. Another message, if you involve anyone, she dies. I stared at the photo, my heart falling apart inside my chest. It looked real, too real. No stage filter, no AI trickery, just pure anguish. I typed with trembling fingers. Where is she? The reply chilled me. You'll find out soon. Then, go home. My stomach twisted. Another message. Check under the floorboard. The same instruction the supposed wife had sent. Was this the same person? Was someone impersonating her? Or were there multiple people involved? I felt sick. The woods suddenly felt too quiet, too still, like I was being watched from every direction. I had to move. I started walking, then jogging, then running again, deeper into the woods until I reached the road on the far side. From there, I cut through backyards and narrow side streets, avoiding main roads, avoiding people. The entire walk, my mind replayed the photo again and again. Was it really her? Was it recent? Was it real? By the time I reached my neighborhood, the sun had started to set. The sky burned orange, casting long shadows across the houses. My house looked the same as always. Quiet, old, a bit worn around the edges. But something felt off. A car I didn't recognize was parked 3 houses down. A black SUV with tinted windows. No markings. My gut clenched. I crouched behind a bush, watching it for several minutes. No movement. No lights. Too still. I slipped around the back of my house, climbed the fence, and entered through the kitchen window I hadn't fully locked that morning. Inside, everything looked untouched. Too untouched. No signs of a struggle. No signs of a break-in. No signs of intruders. But that only made the silence worse. The house felt staged, like someone had cleaned it up, reset it. I went straight to the bedroom. My hands shook as I kneeled beside the nightstand. The loose floorboard stared back at me. I pried it open with my pocket knife. Inside, the blue notebook, right where she said it would be. My breath caught. But that wasn't the only thing inside. There were 3 items. The notebook, a flash drive, and a key, a small metallic, unfamiliar key. It gleamed in the dim light. I lifted the notebook carefully. It was heavy, filled with pages. The cover worn like it had been opened many times. Before I could examine it, my phone buzzed again. Unknown. Good. You found it. My blood froze. Another message. Now turn around. I felt a wave of ice wash over me. Slowly, Painfully, I turned my head. Someone was standing in my bedroom doorway. A silhouette, tall, broad shoulders, face hidden by the shadows. I stumbled backward, clutching the notebook to my chest. "Who are you?" I demanded. The figure stepped forward, and the moment I saw his face, my heart nearly stopped, because it wasn't a stranger. It was someone I knew, someone I trusted, someone who had hugged me at the funeral just hours earlier, someone who had quietly cried beside the coffin. It was Frank, my wife's brother. He looked at me with an expression I had never seen on him before. Cold, calculating, hollow. "Ray," he said quietly, "you should have stayed away." My voice cracked. "Frank, what is this? What's going on? Where is she?" He didn't blink. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his coat. Slowly, deliberately, my pulse roared in my ears. He pulled out, not a gun, not a weapon, but a phone, and he held it up to me. The screen lit up. It was a number texting me, the number pretending to be my wife. And in that instant, the horror hit me like a freight train. It was him. He'd been messaging me. He knew about the notebook. He knew about the floorboard. He knew everything. Frank looked at me calmly. "She trusted the wrong people, Ray." "So did you?" I felt the floor fall out from beneath me. My voice barely came out. "Where is she, Frank?" His jaw tightened, and he whispered, "Alive. But not for long, if you keep making this difficult." I stared at him, my entire world collapsing. He lifted the phone again, showing another photo. My wife, bound, crying, bruised. "Come with me," he said, "or she dies tonight." My hands clenched around the notebook. My breath hitched. My mind screamed. But before I could move, someone else's voice echoed from behind Frank. "No, she dies tonight only if he goes with you." Frank froze. I froze. A woman stepped into view. I felt my knees buckle. It was Linda, holding a gun, pointed at Frank, her voice steady and ice cold. "You're not taking him," she said. "Not again." And in that moment, I realized this wasn't a rescue. This was a war. And I was the reason it started. Frank didn't flinch when Linda stepped out of the shadows with a gun aimed directly at him. He didn't panic. He didn't back away. He just turned his head slightly, almost annoyed, like someone had interrupted him during a conversation. He was confident he'd win. "Linda," he said quietly, "I warned you not to interfere this time." Linda's fingers tightened on the trigger. Her whole body was stiff, controlled, steady, like a woman carrying the weight of too many secrets. "This time," she repeated, bitterness in her voice. "You don't get another." I stood frozen between them, my mind spinning, my heartbeat pounding like a hammer in my throat. I didn't understand what I was witnessing. I didn't understand how these two people, my wife's best friend and her brother, were suddenly aiming guns, threats, and accusations at each other, like they'd been waiting years for this confrontation. "What's happening?" I whispered, backing away until I hit the wall. "Both of you, stop. Just talk. Someone tell me the truth." Frank didn't even glance at me. "This isn't your concern anymore, Ray." My breath caught. "Not my concern?" I snapped. "My wife is missing. You're both telling me a dozen different things. I have the notebook. I have the photo. I have you pretending to be her. Just tell me what the hell is going on." Linda's voice broke through the thick tension. "He doesn't want you to know," she said, eyes locked on Frank. "Because if you find out the truth, everything he's built falls apart." Frank sighed and rolled his eyes. Linda always did love the dramatic angle. "Shut up," she hissed. She took one step forward. Her gun didn't waver, but her voice trembled slightly. "You're not taking him. You got to her once. You don't get to destroy her life a second time. A second time. Those 3 words hit me like a punch to the ribs. I felt a sharp breath scrape through my lungs. I looked at Frank. What does she mean a second time? He ignored me. Linda didn't. Ray, she said, her voice cracking. Your wife was part of something long before she met you. Something dangerous. Something she tried her whole life to get away from. And Frank, she glared at him, drag her back. Frank's jaw clenched. That's not your place to say. I asked my place, Linda whispered fiercely, because she trusted me, because she told me everything, because she begged me to protect you if she couldn't. My chest tightened. Martha told you to protect me? I asked, my voice barely audible. Linda nodded. Frank's laugh cut through the room like a knife. Protect him, he scoffed. From what? From the truth? From a very thing that kept her alive for the last 10 years. He looked at me now, really looked at me, with a mixture of disdain and pity. You think she worked a normal job. Ray, you think those late nights were office work. You think she was just tired, stressed, overworked. I swallowed hard. What are you saying? Linda answered before Frank could. She wasn't tired, she whispered. She was terrified. My stomach dropped. My pulse sped. The room began to tilt. Frank stepped forward slightly, ignoring the barrel of Linda's gun pointed at his heart. Martha was involved with a group called a network, a circle, whatever makes sense to you. It was bigger than you, bigger than this town, bigger than anything you ever guessed. But she left. She betrayed them. She walked away. His face hardened. And they don't let people walk away. I felt the world close in around me. Groups, networks, secrets, betrayal. This was too much, too big, too insane. I shook my head. No, I whispered. No, Martha wasn't some spy or agent or whatever you're implying. She was normal. She was my wife. Linda exhaled sharply. She tried to be, she said softly. She tried so damn hard. But you didn't know her, Ray. Frank snapped. Not the real her. You knew the version she created so you'd feel safe. I backed away until I hit the dresser. My hands curled into fists. Stop talking like she was lying to me. Frank raised an eyebrow. She hid an entire life from you. They forced her. Linda barked, anger shaking her voice. She didn't lie to him. She protected him. All these years she tried to outrun this nightmare. All these years she tried to keep Ray out of it. Frank sighed, rubbing his forehead. This isn't helping. Linda took another step forward, the gun shaking now. You shouldn't have faked her death, Frank. Faked her death. Faked her funeral. Faked everything. The words echoed in my head, bouncing painfully from wall to wall. Frank exhaled like he was tired of repeating himself. We didn't fake anything. We saved her. Linda's voice rose. No, you used her. He glared at her. You don't know what you're talking about. She tightened her grip on the trigger. I know enough. I know the night she disappeared. She called me. She told me someone was coming for her. And when I got to her house, she was gone and you were there, telling neighbors she left early for work. Frank shrugged slightly. I needed time to get the situation under control. Linda snarled. You're a monster. And you're a liability. Frank snapped. Before she could respond, I stepped forward, raising both hands. Stop, both of you. Someone tell me, where is my wife? Silence. Frank looked at me expressionlessly. She's alive. Linda shook her head slowly. She's not the same. My stomach twisted. What does that mean? Before either could answer, a loud mechanical click echoed from outside the house. We all froze. Linda's eyes widened. They found us. Frank's expression hardened. They were tracking his phone. My chest exploded with fear. Who? Who is they? Frank grabbed my arm roughly. We have to go. Now. Linda raised her gun again. You're not taking him. Frank didn't even blink. Linda, if you stay here arguing, they'll kill all of us. The house suddenly shook as a car door slammed outside. Heavy footsteps approached. More than one, maybe 3 or 4. I heard voices, muffled, deep commanding. My blood turned to ice. Ray, Linda whispered urgently. Choose. Right now. Go with him or come with me. Frank's grip tightened on my wrist. You come with me, he said firmly. You get answers. Linda shook her head. You go with him, you get killed. Another loud thud from the front yard. Someone jiggled the door handle. Time snapped in half. And in that moment, I made a choice. I jerked my arm out of Frank's grasp. He stepped toward me. Linda raised a gun. Then the front door exploded inward. The sound was deafening, a violent blast that shook the walls. Wood splintered. Smoke filled the hallway. Masks, tactical gear, flashlights slicing through the dark. Men poured into the house. Frank lunged toward me. Linda fired. A gunshot ripped through the air. Everything exploded into chaos. I threw myself behind the bed as the room filled with smoke, shouting, footsteps, gunfire, bodies moving everywhere at once. A man in black tactical gear barged in, rifle raised. Linda tackled him. Frank dug behind the dresser. 2 more armed men moved in. I crawled toward the window, choking on smoke, my lungs screaming for air. My fingers fumbled with the latch. I pushed it open and tumbled out into the cold night, hitting the ground hard. I forced myself up, legs shaking uncontrollably, adrenaline numbing everything else. The voices behind me grew louder, more gunfire, more shouting. I ran. I didn't look back. I ran until my chest burned and my body screamed. I ran like a man running from hell itself. I didn't stop until I reached the end of the block. Only then did I collapse behind a row of trash cans, my entire body trembling violently. I heard sirens in the distance. Or maybe they were getting closer. I couldn't tell anymore. My mind was a storm of panic and confusion. I needed to disappear. I needed to breathe. I needed another vibration from my pocket. My phone. I stared at it for several seconds, terrified of what I'd see. One new message from an unknown number. If you want the truth, don't trust Frank. Another message immediately after, and don't trust Linda either. My throat tightened. What do you want from me? I typed. The reply came instantly. Your wife. The word slammed into me. She's alive. But barely. I felt tears sting my eyes. Where is she? I typed, hands shaking so violently I misspelled the words twice. The reply was slower this time. She's somewhere safe. For now. I exhaled shakily. But she won't stay safe much longer. I swallowed. What do you mean? The answer made my blood run cold. They moved her. Tonight, they're preparing for transport. I can get you to her, but only if you listen to me. My fingers hovered over the screen. Who are you? I typed. This time, the reply was delayed. Several long seconds passed in terrifying silence. Then, I'm someone your wife trusted. Before I could react, another message appeared. Look in the notebook. Page 17. I pulled out the blue notebook with trembling hands. I flipped it open. The pages were filled with dense handwriting, notes, dates, sketches, warnings, and codes I didn't understand. My chest tightened as I flipped to page 17. The entire page was covered in my wife's writing, frantic, rushed, uneven. At the top, one line was underlined 3 times. If anyone finds this, trust in no one except the person who knows about the Red Room. My breath hitched. The Red Room? I kept reading. Frank cannot be trusted. My pulse jumped. Linda cannot be trusted. My head swam. They are both part of it. They just don't know the full truth yet. I felt the world tilt. Then at the bottom of the page, one more line. If I disappear, he will contact you. He is the only one who can help. Before I could process any of it, my phone buzzed again. The unknown sender. Now do you believe me? I stared at the message, numb, terrified, shaking uncontrollably. Tell me who you are. I typed again. This time, the reply came with a name. Just one. A name I hadn't heard in years. A name my wife never spoke. A name she once made me promise to forget. Elias. I felt my blood turn to fire. Elias. The man my wife once warned me about. The man she said would destroy everything if he ever found her. But now, he was claiming he was the only one who could save her. Before I could react, another message came. You have 1 hour. Then she dies. I wish I could tell you that when I opened that cabin door and saw my wife, my supposedly dead wife, standing there alive, every answer I'd been searching for finally made sense. But the truth? Her being alive only raised more questions, deeper shadows, and darker possibilities. And I, Uncle Ray, was suddenly standing in the middle of the storm that had clearly been swirling around me long before she rushed inside, shut the door behind her, and leaned against it like she was holding back a hurricane. Ray, she whispered, they're here. Those 2 words froze something deep inside my chest. Not he, not someone. They, plural, organized, close. She stepped forward, her breathing shaky, and looked at me like she was memorizing my face, like she'd waited years to see me one more time. But my voice didn't soften. My heart was too tangled in betrayal, grief, and the sharp sting of reality. Start talking, I said. Now. She didn't panic. She didn't cry. She didn't shrink. Instead, she walked right past me, sat down at the wooden table in that old hunting cabin, and pulled the USB drive out of her pocket. The same drive hidden under a gravestone. The same drive she made me decode. The same drive that had dragged me into this labyrinth. She placed it between us like it was a loaded weapon. Everything, she said. I'll tell you everything. And she did. But some truths, they change a man forever. And some truths you wish you never heard. The real beginning. My wife, Maria, began at the part she had never shared with me in all our years of marriage. Ray, she said, when I met you, I wasn't who you thought I was. I didn't interrupt. Not this time. I needed the whole story or nothing. She continued, her voice low, steady, like she'd rehearsed this conversation 100 times in her mind. I wasn't some normal woman working in real estate. Like I told you, I was undercover, deep undercover, for a private intelligence outfit that doesn't operate under any government, a group that specialized in corporate warfare, tracking stolen intellectual assets, and handling cases no official agency wanted fingerprints on. I stared at her, silent. I left them, she said, because I met you. I wanted out. I wanted a real life, not a mission. I blinked slowly. The ground shifted beneath me. My entire marriage a question mark? That group, she said, they never let assets go, especially ones who know what I know. So I hid. I cut ties. I erased everything. And then I asked voice tight. They found me. She looked at the floor. And they wanted something. Something I refused to give. I already knew the something. The algorithm. The one hidden inside the USB. The one everyone seemed willing to kill for. She nodded when she saw the realization cross my face. That code wasn't something I stole, she said. It was something I created, an AI pattern analyzer capable of predicting corporate sabotage before it happened. Harmless at first, but then I realized companies wanted to weaponize it. Governments, too. So she ran, faked her death, left a trail of lies behind, all to make sure no one ever found me or the algorithm. But someone did. Someone close. Someone inside my own home. The man behind all this. You remember your neighbor, Tom? She asked. I frowned. Tom? The guy who came to my house after a funeral with a casserole and a sad smile? Tom isn't who you think he is, she said. He's not an accountant. He's not your friendly neighbor. He was assigned to watch you, to watch me, to monitor what we did, who we talked to, where we went. I felt something cold spread across my stomach. Assigned. Watched. Years. How long? I asked, since before we even moved into the neighborhood. Damn. I stood up, pacing, trying to pull my thoughts into some kind of order. My house, my life, my world. Everything had been broadcast to this ghost organization. They found out I still had the algorithm, she continued. And when I refused to hand it over, they staged the accident. I froze mid-step. You mean... Yes, she whispered. They tried to kill me. Tried, but failed. The van that hit her was an accident. The fire wasn't random. The body they found wasn't hers. She had escaped, gone deep underground, and had been trying to find a way to warn me ever since. That message at her funeral? The strange ringtone? The anonymous text? The USB under the stone? All me, she said. I needed you to run. I needed you to disappear. Because if they knew you were involved, they'd come for you too. I exhaled roughly. They already have, I said. She looked up sharply. And that's when everything shifted again. The storm arrives. Before I could say another word, the window behind her shattered. A bullet sliced through the cabin, embedding itself into the wooden wall inches from my shoulder. She dove, grabbing the USB, sliding it across the floor toward me. They found us, she hissed. We need to move. I didn't argue. Not now. Not when death was literally breaking through the windows. We sprinted through the back door just as another bullet cracked through the cabin wall. The cold night air slapped my face as we ran into the trees. Maria led the way. She knew this forest, knew this escape route, knew the people hunting her. We reached the creek, splashed through icy water to throw off thermal sensors, and ducked behind a fallen log. I heard footsteps, multiple, and low voices in the dark. Night vision. Silencers. Professional. Just like she said. I held my breath, gripping the USB so tightly I could feel the metal edges biting into my palm. They moved past us slowly, methodically, scanning the area with precision that no regular criminals would ever have. Maria leaned close to my ear. They won't stop, she whispered. Not unless the algorithm disappears forever. I knew what she meant. Destroy it. Erase everything. End the chase. But that USB, it wasn't just code anymore. It was the last connection to all the lies, all the truth, all the wounds between us. Ray, she whispered. Please? I nodded. I'd have burned the world down to protect her. That hadn't changed. Not even after everything. The final trap. We made it to an old utility tunnel entrance half buried under vines, metal rusted, padlock broken long ago. She pulled me inside, flicked a small flashlight on, and we descended into narrow, dripping darkness. This tunnel leads out of forest, she whispered. Once we hit the clearing on the other side, we split. They'll expect us together. I spun on her. No, not happening. You don't understand, she said. I'm the one they want. You'll only slow me down. They already came for me. I reminded her. This is our fight now. She looked at me with this expression. Sad, grateful, full of something that felt like 1,000 unspoken apologies. Ray, I never wanted this life for you. You married me. I said, this is my life. Before she could respond, a sudden metallic clang echoed down the tunnel. Someone had entered from the other end. Voices, footsteps, flashlights flickering on the walls. We ran deeper, breathing hard, until we reached a fork. Left tunnel collapsed, right tunnel leading down into deeper blackness. Maria grabbed my arm. They put trackers on the algorithm, she whispered. They know exactly where we are. I pulled the USB out. What if we use it to lead them somewhere else? I said. She blinked, then smiled. Ray, that might actually work. So we set the trap. I placed a USB on an old metal grate, balanced on a thin ledge above a water channel that fed into the river outside. Maria wired a small remote charge, something she'd hidden in her boot, and placed it carefully under the grate. She looked at me. When they pick it up, it drops. The river pulls it downstream. They'll follow the tracker right out of the forest. And us, I asked, we go the opposite way. Simple, dangerous, only one shot. We hid behind an alcove in the wall just as the lights approached. 3 men, all armed, all focused. The first one spotted the USB. Target located. He whispered into his mic. He stepped onto the grate. Metal groaned. Maria clicked the remote. The explosion wasn't big, just enough to blow the bolts. The grate gave way. The man fell, screaming into the water below, taking the USB with him. The other 2 shouted, radios buzzing, tracker moving. It's heading south. Just like that, they ran. The tunnel went quiet again. Maria exhaled, leaning against the wall. We bought just a few minutes, she said. Then let's move. We took the left path, even though it looked blocked, and squeezed through a narrow gap she clearly knew about. It led to a ladder, then a hatch, then fresh air, cold, crisp, and full of danger. But the clearing was only a few yards away. We're almost... A gun cocked behind us. We froze. Slowly we turned, and standing there with a pistol in his hand was Tom, my neighbor, my friend, the man who'd eaten at my dinner table. Maria, he said coldly, you didn't think you could run forever, did you? She stepped in front of me. Tom, she breathed, you don't have to do this. Oh, I do, he said, because if I don't bring you in, they come for me next. I raised both hands. Tom, we can talk about this. You're not part of this, Ray, he snapped. Step aside. No. His jaw tightened. The algorithm was never supposed to get this far, he said to Maria. Hand over the real drive. Real drive? I looked at her. She looked at me. Tom laughed. Oh, Ray, you really thought she'd give you the only copy? My heart dropped. Maria, I whispered. She didn't move, didn't speak, didn't deny it. And in that moment, Tom pulled the trigger. But not at her, at me. Maria lunged, knocking me sideways. The bullet grazed my shoulder, burning fire along my skin. I hit the ground hard, air knocked out of me. Maria grabbed my shirt, dragging me behind a fallen tree as Tom fired again. Give me the drive, Tom shouted. Then, silence, except for her breathing. Fast, shallow, wrong. I looked down, and that's when I saw it. Blood. Maria's blood. She'd taken the next bullet meant for me. No, 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 I said, catching her as she collapsed. She pressed something into my hand. Another USB. Identical. The real one, she whispered. Destroy it? Promise me. Maria, stay with me. She touched my face. I love you, Ray. Always did, even when I lied. Tom moved closer. Gun raised. I gently lowered Maria, stood up, and faced him. Anger wasn't the word. This was something older, darker, sharper. He aimed. I moved first. I grabbed Maria's fallen boot, still holding the second charge, and slammed it into the ground. The explosion was small, but enough. It sent both of us flying backward. Tom hit a tree. I hit the dirt, but I got up first. Tom didn't. He lay still, and I crawled to Maria, but her eyes were already closing. Ray, she whispered, voice cracking like paper. Run. I'm not leaving you. You have to. Her hand slipped from mine, and just like that, the woman who died once, died again, for real this time, and I felt something inside me break. The final message. By morning, I was miles away. The forest behind me burned. Tom's men must have realized the mission failed. Sirens in the distance mixed with the crackling of flames. Helicopters circled overhead, but I kept walking to a bridge on the edge of town, where I tossed both USB drives into the river. The real one and the decoy. The algorithm was gone forever. But as I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A message. No number. No sender. Just a short line. A line that made every hair on my neck rise. Good job, Ray. We'll be in touch. I stared at it, cold, numb, because I understood something horrifying. Maria wasn't the only one being watched. She wasn't the only one being followed. And now, they wanted me, and that is where everything ended. A funeral that wasn't real. A wife who faked her own death. A secret organization hunting us both. And a final choice that changed my life forever. But if there's one thing I learned, it's that the truth doesn't just set you free. Sometimes it haunts you, follows you, stares back at you from the shadows long after the story ends. If you want more twisted real-life mysteries, revenge tales, or Uncle Ray-style chaos, hit that like button and subscribe. Because, trust me, the next story, you're not ready for it.